Well, welcome to another Eagle Auto Repair video. We're so glad you could join us here today. And today I want to talk about, just for a few minutes, and share with you some things that I've learned over the years being a technician. And most importantly, is it still worth it is my question. To be a technician, to be an automotive technician today, starting into this field. If you're a young guy and you're thinking about where you're headed, what you're doing, I basically started doing this because I had a passion for vehicles, and so that was my initial draw into this business. And so, but I'd like to share with you a few things that I wish someone may have spoken with me about when I was younger and considering what I was going to be doing for a living. So I want to thank you for joining us here today. We want to help you get better at repairing your vehicle. We want to give you information, some of the things that we've learned over 40 plus years of doing this for a living. It's always been a great way for me to feed my family and take care of things. And so, but I just wanted to share with you some things that I've learned and some things that I think you'll find helpful. So let's get right into it. I really have 5 points to cover. And like I said, these are things that I wish I would have known when I was younger, and maybe if someone would have mentored me or shared with me some of these things, things would be different for me now. I'm not complaining. I have a great life. I'm very blessed. But again, I want to just bring a few of these points out that you may not have considered. And maybe you are a tech, professional tech, and maybe these are some things that might help you as well. So number one, physical body. I started doing this when I was a teenager, so I was in great shape. Everything was good. But as you get older and as your body ages, here's what happens. Your mind stays 20, but your body doesn't. And this is a very physically demanding job. So I guess number one, I would say, consider that. I learned as I got older and things would not work quite as well. You have to work smarter, not harder. So number one, physical body. Take care of your body because it's the only one you get. And as you get on in years, it will constantly remind you of that. So number two, and this is, I think, no matter what field you're in, I would say this to anyone who is younger. And again, learning from experience sometimes is the best teacher. However, you only get that chance, really, you're just so much farther ahead if you plan when you're younger what your future will look like. So I would say managing your finances is very important. There was a time in the industry when we were making a lot of money. I was doing really well, and looking back, if I had made some investments, if I would have been disciplined about putting some money away, that would have paid dividends in the long term. And so consider that, managing your finances. And there's a lot that goes along with that. One of the things for any professional technician is going to be tool cost. That's a part of being a technician. You have to buy tools. Now when you're in a dealership, it's a little bit of a different situation. I was at 26 years in the dealerships, and they buy a lot of the special tools. But again, previous to that, when I was at Independence, and even now, even when you're still in the dealership, you're going to want to have tools that make your job easier so you can make more money, because in most situations you're going to be a commissioned mechanic. So they pay you based on what you produce. And the easier you can make your job and the more efficiently and quickly you can get it done, the better off you are. So back in the day when I was doing it, air tools, I still use air tools, but now you have some of the electric battery operated tools, which you have to consider all the costs. So looking behind me, some of the boxes I have now, cabinets for storage, they're not very expensive ones. My last Snap-on box that I bought cost me $8,000 brand new, just for the box, no tools in it. But I was in a high crime area, an area in the city of Detroit that I had to have good protection for my stuff. Give you just an example. One day I was working on a car, the bay next to me. We probably had about 10 mechanics in that dealership, maybe 12. The guy next to me had 2 bays, and there was a door between us. So we were working on the cars. He goes up to the parts department. I was under the hood working on something, and not paying attention. I was doing heavy at the time, so I was well into my job. I noticed the car next to me started up and pulled out. I didn't think much of it because, you know, porters move cars in and out all day at a dealership. The guy came back that was working next to me and said, "Hey man, where's that car go?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, that new car I was just working on, it's gone. Well, as it turns out, somebody walked in the side door, got in that car, started it up, and drove away with it. Middle of the day we were working. So again, I had to have good cabinets because I was in an area where you needed to have your stuff safe, and it was a big box with a lot of security, and you know, like I said, $8,000, a lot of money for a box. And over the years, I probably have, I don't know, probably I stopped counting, but you know, well over $50,000 invested in tools. So again, I kind of liken that to education. So if you're going to go and get a degree, what does a degree cost? You know, basic 4-year degree, bachelor's, you're spending 40 grand. So, you know, it's kind of a trade-off, I guess. So number 3, tool cost. You know, that's something to consider. And now there's a lot of companies out there that, you know, make some quality stuff. Harbor Freight, some of these guys are getting online with some quality tools, and it all depends on, you know, your situation. So in the area that you're in. Number 4, I'd like to talk about specializing. You know, when I started years ago, I worked in an engine shop. Was one of my very first you know, experiences, and we basically rebuilt engines. So that was getting them the hands-on nuts and bolts of what goes on in an engine. We didn't take them out of the car, they would just bring us the engine. We would take it apart, rebuild it, do all the work, machine work. We had a crankshaft grinder there. You know, it was pretty extensive layout, probably about 7 guys, I think, altogether, total employees there. And we each had our own area that we worked in. And that's how that worked. But as you go on, you know, before I was at dealerships, I was at independents. In an independent shop, you work on everything. Doesn't matter make, model, you know, foreign, domestic. You work on all aspects. They don't have special tools too much, so it's the onus falls on the mechanic, and so you have to buy a lot of tools to be able to service those cars. And so that was really my introduction into as a technician, and you end up acquiring a lot of tools in that regard. So, but again, you know, specialty areas, number 4 for specialty areas, I think electrical right now. I think back about when I started. So we had points ignition, right? We had carburetors. The cars were not nearly as complex, even though they did have some sophisticated stuff in the higher end vehicles. They weren't nearly as complicated as they are now. And now, you know, when I think back trying to learn all of that, and when you're a young guy coming in, it's quite a big undertaking. So, but once you understand the theory of operation, you can fix anything. But everything today, and this is what I would suggest to anyone thinking about a career in automotive, you have to be very strong suited in electrical. So education, again, I'm going to come back to that. Education, you have to be smart. I mean, I still now, even having the business here and then working for one of the big auto companies as a consultant, I have to go to training all the time. As a matter of fact, I just went for picoscope training because late model systems, you can't use the tools that you used to use. You know, a test light is basically, you might as well, don't even take it out of your box, because today's electronics, there's not a whole lot you can definitively test accurately with a test light. You need to use a DVOM, you need to have scope ability in order to see voltages, because you just can't do that with some of these tools. And some of the, you know, there's some information out there, and there's some guys that are doing some really great stuff, and they've got some videos out that are awesome on the scope, lab scope. And again, scope for me goes back to points ignition, right? We used to use a scope all the time, but we were just looking at secondary ignition. So quite a different animal from today's CAN bus systems and some of the communication systems in today's late model vehicles. So I would recommend, it lends itself to every area of the vehicle. Electrical, I can't stress that enough. You've got to be strong suited in electrical, and education is going to be the way that you get there. So understanding Ohm's law and some of those basic principles, they apply to everything, but you have to have that in your back pocket, and you have to be good at it. So, and then number 5, I would say education. Again, wisdom is the key here, and you can never stop learning, and you can never know enough. So I mean, I get in meetings with engineers right now that design these systems. And what I do now is I work on projects that are already in production, and we try to root cause certain areas. So, but I can tell you that it takes experience, it takes time. So top to bottom, front to back, you need to learn the car, and you need to be strong suited in electrical, but education, knowledge is the key to your success. So don't, you have some of these different kind of courses. When I was in independence, you could always find areas of training. I know some of the young guys are considering trade schools. A lot of those, you come out of there with an associate's degree in automotive. That's a great start, because as you start to build on your experience and as you start to build your credentials, you can maybe move out of being a technician into working in, for some of the companies that you're into a technical situation, kind of like what I have now, my technical consultant job. So yeah, there's opportunities, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but knowledge is going to be the key. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything that you want to ask about that, I'd love to share with you. So feel free to comment. I would greatly appreciate it if you considered subscribing to our channel. Give us a like, smash the like button. Think about subscribing and ring the bell for notifications so that when a new video comes out from Eagle Auto Repair, you'll get notified and you'll be able to watch it. So I just want to thank you for joining me here today for another Eagle Auto video. And again, as we always say here at Eagle Auto Repair, have a blessed day. And thanks for watching.